Welcome to this edition of Cup Chat with Birding with Texas A&M AgriLife Extension Service. Today, join Bryan, Calk, and I as we just chat about everything and anything our followers want to talk about. Yes, we are live. Bryan, good morning and welcome to Birding with Texas A&M AgriLife Extension Service. This morning on Cup Chat, we have thrown the rule books out the window, and Bryan and I are just going to be chit-chatting about birds and bird life and what's going on here in the state of Texas about and where we're at, kind of, starting, we're in early migration, blah, 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 blah. We're just going to go for the chit chat today. So, anyways, good morning, Bryan.
Good morning.
So, what?
How's everything going over there in Texas? I'm out in New Mexico still.
Well, I am going to tell you, I'm a little tired. So I don't know that everyone knows this, but my job here at Texas A&M AgriLife Extension Service does not just include hosting Cup Chats and Birding with Texas A&M AgriLife Extension programs. I'm a full-fledged ag and natural resource agent. So after the aftermath of the storm and it's stock show season here, so which means that I'm supporting our 4-H youth going to all the major stock shows here in Texas. And so that's why I was a little late getting Cup Chat up. We've been at the Houston Stock Show and Rodeo, and I've been sleeping in trucks and being up very early and going to bed very late. So getting Cup Chat done just didn't happen as fast as I normally can get it done. So that's what's been going on here in Texas. My birds are singing terribly out my window, and I wish I was a better birder by ear, Bryan, because I think I would be able to lay in bed and hear and identify them, but I don't. Anyways, they're so loud, and I can even hear them in my house.
Yeah, it's that time of year. Everything is just singing in earnest and just trying to stake their claim on their little patch of land. Out my window, I have a troop of crows that'll be here probably another month or so, but then they'll head out. They're just kind of around for the winter.
Well, I will be completely honest. I have been birder lazy and not even tried to go out and see because they sing so early in the morning while I'm still getting ready. And I'm not a morning person, so I have yet to kind of try to go out and discover what is singing in my yard, just because I've been trying to recoup from stock shows. So I'm probably what?
Yeah, I know exactly what that feels like, at least from a stock shower perspective anyway.
You did show in high school. You weren't just a birder, you showed livestock, so that's true.
I remember one time at the Houston livestock show, I was so exhausted after one evening of staying up late to take care of sheep and goats that I fell asleep in the hotel room and locked my family out of the room. So they had to go get the hotel guy to come and get them in the room.
Oh, I've been locked out of hotel rooms. So this is a good birder lesson. If you're going out with your birding buddies and you don't go to the room at the same time, don't lock the deadbolt thing. A hotel person cannot get me in. I've had that happen where I was staying with someone and they locked the deadbolt.
Yep, that's exactly what I.
So, good morning, Miss Beth. Thank you for joining us. If you have any questions, just comment, or if you have a thought this morning to add to Cup Chat, give us a comment, and we'd love to add to our discussion. So, but anyway, so let's talk a little bit about my birds in my yard a little bit. And we have first reports have come through of some of our first migratory species getting to Texas. I read Romy's. Did you see Romy's blog post yesterday?
I saw he posted it, but I haven't had a chance to read it yet.
I didn't read the whole thing. Sorry, Romy. I just skimmed really quick. And the short version is, Bryan, that the first golden cheek warbler has been now reported. They're back. I saw someone report that they had gotten their painted buntings in. So I'm excited to see what spring migration brings. And I think here's my odd moment. And Bryan, tell me what you think about this.
Okay.
I thought with this last winter storm, we would see migration being pushed back a little bit.
And I just don't know with these early reports that we're going to see that pushback.
Right. Um, I don't think that the winter storm is going to have that maybe that profound of an effect on migration timing. It was only really severely cold for just a couple days. Um, so I don't think that the migrants coming through are going to be adjusting their timing, because by now temperatures are back to normal.
That's true.
So they can move it right in. If we got another cold snap, that might affect things for sure. But I think that that little cold snap in February, still in the dead of winter, is not going to really affect migration too much.
Well, here in Del Rio, February is technically not dead of winter,
That's
and we
true.
wear shorts all year round. So it was a drastic issue for me, not even gonna lie.
Mhm.
But I think it's really interesting. I'll tell you one bird that I've been so enamored with lately. And
Mhm.
I saw my first in the winter storm is the Cedar Waxwings. And
Mhm.
I don't know why this year. I almost wish on our virtual birding seminar, Martina would have done the sketch of them, because I think their feathers are so unique and
Mhm.
just so smooth.
Mhm.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
they're just such a sleek, smooth, just absolutely gorgeous bird. I think it's one that birders tend to take for granted, but new and intermediate birders really see them for how awesome they are, which I love. And yeah, I just think they're really awesome birds. I know a couple of birders who that for them that was their spark bird, that one that got them started.
Interesting. See, and I just think they're just they're so sleek looking. I think that that's what gets me enamored. And bravo to everyone on Facebook who is posting them
Mhm.
um, with their wonderful pictures. I think we've really captured those boogers. At least in my eyes, a lot more this year than we did last year.
Mhm.
And I don't know, and maybe I just missed maybe the Facebook maybe the Facebook algorithm didn't have them popping up on my feed as much. But this year it was like every time I turned around, someone is posting these gorgeous pictures of flocks of the cedar waxwings.
Mhm.
Ooh,
This is this has just been a really exceptional year for them, coming a little bit further south, I think, into that South Texas region than they normally do. At least growing up at Fort Clark, every winter was different, as far as bird diversity in general. And cedar waxwings are in that area what I would call um, an eruptive species, meaning that depending on the conditions, either higher latitudes of their typical wintering grounds or conditions further south, I'm not sure which, but they can either really be present in large numbers or they will just stay further back. So it just kind of depends on the year.
I saw some during the winter storm. Like my first ones to see in Valverde County, I saw during the winter storm. And I think I'm just gonna tell you, I think it's easier to go birding in the snow.
Mm-hmm.
And that was such an easy, a great, I don't know. It was like they just said, "Hey, let me hop onto the road and show you myself because there's a puddle of water here to drink." And so I thought that was very interesting. And maybe as a spotter, I thought it was easier to see those boogers in the snow. So we have several comments coming in. Beth said that she saw her first broad-tailed hummer yesterday and put out nesting materials in the Davis Mountains. And I've seen several reports of hummingbirds coming through. Um, just a reminder, if y'all are going to put out your nectar, make sure you are not, we recommend using clear. Don't use your dyes. And then make sure you're rotating that, you're cleaning your feeders and rotating your nectar before it gets stale. Not stale, sour. Is it sour is the right word? Or stale?
I would
Sour.
say, yeah,
Sour? I think sour would be the right word. Stale would be like bread.
right. Yeah,
It's
it really,
7:45. You and I are not allowed to function this early.
it's 6:45 where I am,
I
but
forget. You're such a trooper.
yeah, it definitely will go sour, especially as temperatures get warmer. You really want to be cleaning that out fairly frequently. And Beth, of course, is an expert on this. She has quite the impressive hummingbird setup that I can't wait to hopefully visit with our kiddos during Diablo Brain Camp.
Was that a hint, hint?
Well, I need to check in with Beth and make
Miss
sure we're
Beth.
all good to go. Yeah.
She said it was also her first day in the mountains. I tell you what, I just have loved when we went to, I guess Dr. Frank and I went to Lee Hoy's house during hummingbird migration, and that was just amazing to see, and just a wonderful area of Texas. I am excited to take our kids out there just to see that, and want to thank the birders out there. They're going to feed us one night, so thanks to Bill Sane and all of our birding crew out there. We're going to help feed those. Miss Beth does say we are good to go for camp, so all you kiddos watching, we're excited. We will be heading up to the Davis Mountains and have a great place to look. Oh, we had another comment. Hold on, let me click my comments and get that. I love it when y'all are so in on my telling us what you want to talk about. Makes our life a lot easier when we're just chit-chatting. I can't work Facebook right now. Hold on just a second. Where did it go? Hello, Facebook. Okay. Well, okay, my internet is working so I'll get to the comment. I just saw it, but now I can't read it. So as soon as it comes up, I believe it was Pamela. As soon as it pops up, we will talk about your comment. Let's talk a little bit. My surprise for you, Bryan.
Okay.
And 10 other of our Birding the Border participants. So we're going to go to Baker's Crossing.
Oh, yeah.
For Birding the Border, and we still are. But if anyone has ever been to Baker's Crossing, the county agent and me got a little worried that we were going to be standing on the side of the highway. And so I'm a little concerned by your safety. And so to do a little bit of risk mitigation, what we have lined up is, we will still stand on the highway for a brief period in time, because I think that view is an important view to look at a few birds, and you'll walk down the highway like we normally do, Bryan. But I'm so excited. We have a private ranch that is going to open up their gates for us and allow you to walk a little further up the Devil's River right there at Baker's Crossing in either direction. So it's going to be a super unique opportunity. I am trying to find the comments that I can share. That way we can talk about it, because it was a good comment.
Sure. Well, I'll just say that I am really excited about accessing that property at Baker's Crossing. When I was a kid in high school, I did get to go onto the Monarch Ranch on the south side of the river, just a little bit, really just kind of 100 yards into the ranch. And that alone was just phenomenal. I got my lifer phainopepla, I got nesting zone-tailed hawks there, I had hybrid parula, I had a Caspian tern on the river. I mean, you just never know what you're going to see there. And so being able to access a different property right there at Baker's Crossing is going to be really cool, especially for me. And that's what makes Birding the Border so, unique and awesome as a birder, is you get to access all of these properties thanks to you, Emily, and the most part, working and making those connections with landowners for us, and connecting birders with landowners. So I think that's just going to be really awesome.
I'm excited. And so the really cool part about this property is the old highway runs through part of the ranch, so like the new highway and then the old highway. So there's a bridge that you can easily stand in the middle of the river on. And an interesting thing is the ranch manager is also actually, I don't know if he's birder, but he studied birds in college and definitely knows his birds. And so the other day we saw a Phoebe when we were out, and I mean, literally in like 3 seconds. A ton of water birds, obviously, maybe not be there as much in the spring. A great blue heron, But they've really strategically, this is what I'm really excited about to see, is they strategically cleared pathways down to the river in these sections that they call camps. And then in between are these brush, they've left the native brush. And so what I think will happen is you'll walk in these camps and those birds will be in those brushy areas that are around you. And so it's going to make seeing birds completely, I think it'll make seeing the birds super easy, because you'll be in this cleared out portion and then you'll have brush aspect all the way around you. Plus you'll be able to see across the water. So super excited about that. Pamela asked if anyone else was seeing slick pine skins. I'm outside of Lakey and have one or two. I have not.
Is she talking about the fungal infection or whatever that's affecting pine siskins?
Yes. She's asked, she's worried. And I have not looked enough at, obviously I've been, stock show season has kind of kept me a little crazy. I don't know that I have been an avid e-birder to kind of monitor what's been coming through and what's been reported. So Pamela, you probably would, the best bet would be to kind of check eBird and see what people are seeing around you. That's
right.
my thought.
And if you do have large numbers of pine siskins coming through, or any finch, or any bird visiting your bird feeders, it's important to keep a close eye on them and make sure they're all staying really healthy. A lot of avian diseases are spread really easily around bird feeders. So if you notice that your birds are having, a lot of it shows around the face, or on the bare parts of the bird, the legs, the feet. If you see any of that, any of those abnormalities going on, it's best to kind of take down your feeders and make sure you clean them,
That's what we call it in the sheep world, defunk.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. And just make sure that you're not, inadvertently spreading that disease even further. So
we talked about that a lot. Maureen has a great saying that, since she's not here, I'm going to steal. She talks about, if I gave you a bowl of M&Ms and you had to eat it with your mouth, and then I was going to put my face in it and eat it within my mouth. I mean, even in the world before COVID, that's a little gross. And that's how so that's essentially what our birds are doing. And anytime we do supplemental feeding on our livestock, birds, wildlife, things like that, when we're providing that supplemental feed source, it's so important to keep those feeders clean to prevent that transfer of disease and fungal activity. Kim says she saw her first black chin hummer last week north of Lakey. Tell me about the bees that are on my hummingbird feeder, as well as pulling the seed out of my feeders. So one thing I would think about is make sure, Kim, that you first of all have a feeder that has a cone in the bottom, so that bird feed, as it goes down, is not below the last feeder. I don't know how to explain that, and I don't have a picture. But if those holes are up here and there's bird food can go all the way to the bottom, that food is going to get stale, and any moisture that gets in there, it's going to cause it to mold. So funky, Wild Birds Unlimited, great, has a great design of a feeder that has a cone in the bottom that's a tube feeder. So make sure your feeders are, the feeder you're putting out allows the birds to get all the feed at the bottom, so that way the bottom is what would not get stale. And I think we need to clean those feeders. And when your bird feed runs out, or if they're not going through it fast enough, consider dumping and go through, get a fresh. Bees at her hummingbird feeder. Bryan, you want to take that one?
Sure. I'm not an expert on this. Growing up, we didn't have terrible issues with bees at our feeders, and I certainly don't have that issue here in Albuquerque. But I know plenty of people do have that issue. And there are a few different things I think you can do. One is getting guards that go over the feed ports, and it's kind of like this mesh, and this mesh is too small for the bees to fit through, but the hummingbirds can easily fit their bill through to get to the hummingbird feed. And then another option is to sort of give the bees their place where they are allowed to eat, the nectar or have water or whatever. And often that's a shallow dish with a bunch of little pebbles in it where they can kind of crawl around and get to it. And so you're just kind of, acknowledging the bees, saying, here's your spot, go do your thing, and leave the hummingbird feeders alone. Those are the main two things that I know of. But I do know that bees can be a real challenge. And if anybody out there has a better idea or suggestion, please give us a comment below and let us know.
Well, and you and I don't have a bunch of hummingbird feeders out here in town, just because of traveling so much and being able to refill and clean those on a regular basis. We don't put hummingbird feeders out at the office. So I would imagine though, if I put hummingbird feeders out at the office, I would have a tremendous bee problem too.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But I do have a very interesting visitor at my office though. And every couple of mornings I come home to my office with a big pile of pigeon feathers. I think I have a hawk that is, and I've seen him several times, but I think he's the culprit. And my pigeon population is getting reduced.
That's awesome. Probably, I would guess it's probably a Cooper's hawk or maybe a sharp-shinned hawk. Although
I think we're Cooper's. I think that's the one. I think that's the one I sent you the picture of the last time I saw him.
Yeah,
but,
it makes sense. Yeah,
but
they're just amazing bird hunting raptors, and I just kind of love, in a kind of weird way, finding those big piles of feathers, and you just know that a Cooper's hawk has been here. So that's cool.
And it's just funny because it's just random mornings. Poof, a big pile of feathers under one of my oak trees.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that's been funny. Gosh, what else do we want to talk about? What else do you got? Anybody else have any comments this morning? Any thoughts? Bryan, do you have any thought? What's your birding thought of the week?
My birding thought of the week. Really my mind is, like we've been talking about, on migration. Here in New Mexico, I've seen the first couple of reports of our very first spring migrants, which have been the tree swallows and I think rough-winged swallows. Swallows are kind of some of the first species to arrive in spring. And I know that they've been down in Texas. Down there, y'all get purple martins, and they start showing up in January. So they're.
Go check the purple martin houses at the duck pond.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they're there. I'm sure they are.
Run by and see if they're there. I just obviously have not been in town.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So those are kind of our first signs of spring up here. And I am just, it's kind of that season where all of the winter things are leaving and all of the spring things are just barely starting to show up. So we're kind of at a lull of bird diversity. So I'm excited for spring to really get into swing, start seeing some exciting things again. Later this month up here in Albuquerque, we'll be expecting Lucy's warblers to show up and common blackhawks and things like that. So it's exciting times.
You know that I'm excited for our warblers to show back up. That's one of my faves.
Yeah, and several of them should be there by now. The Perulas should be there, getting close. Golden cheeks, black and white warbler.
I have not. I've seen a ton of, obviously I've seen a ton of yellow-rumped warblers all winter, but I just would like to pick which warblers would come visit. That's what I'm looking at right now.
Okay.
I would like. Can I just request like the black-throated blue warbler come by Del Rio?
Oh, sure.
That would actually happen. It would be a long shot. The Grace's warbler, it could come by.
As we might see at Rio Diablo up at Beth's place, possibly, maybe.
That would be fun. I just wish you could like request birds that would come by. Like, could you just swing over here? Because there's some of those warblers that I just am they're so beautiful.
And that's two things come to mind. One is one of the like rules of birding is that you kind of, if you say it enough times, it'll happen. And I've often experienced that where we're out in the field and we say, you know, it would be really cool to see a seed eater or whatever today, and then we turn the corner and then there's a seed eater. And so that's always exciting when you can kind of just like speak something into existence. And the other thing is that after birding the border, we're going to be scouting a new birding with extension location up on the upper Texas coast at prime warbler migration time. So I think we'll be able to see a pretty good diversity of warblers that week. Yeah, it's been a long since I did that. Go ahead.
I'm excited about that one. I'm excited about getting to see a new place. And I guess we could tell everybody we are looking at hosting 2 Learn to Birds next year. And so we're going to scout the second Learn to Bird location. So we'll have an West Texas and an East Texas version of Learn to Bird. And so super excited about those. Those will both be in October, and those are both designed for beginner birders, whether you've never been birding before or you dabble in birding a little bit, but really want to take your identification and learn a little bit more and get that next step in birding. So no, excited about that. And then we are still working on and hopeful to host another new program. And this one will be more on the Texas coast. And we will have to share more information about that when we work out a few more details, but we're excited to be growing a little bit and offering a little bit more diversity of programs other than Birding the Border, Learn to Bird, Cup Chat, virtual birding seminars, and Rio Diablo Youth Birding Camp. So, I mean, there'll be plenty more for everyone to join in and enjoy with us. So, you know, I think we've chatted this morning, and I like a good chat sometimes. Not having a schedule or an idea is kind of nice. Let's talk a little bit about Birding the Border. Just really quickly for those that are registered. And let me go back to Facebook and make sure we don't have any more comments coming in. So we know that the governors, if anyone is coming to Birding the Border, birding with extension guidelines will not be changing currently to go along with the governor's orders. So we are finalizing our, since we're about 2 months out, we are finalizing the very specific COVID guidelines that we are going to be and practices that we will be practicing at Birding the Border. So if you're looking for those to come out, they will be coming out within the next week or so. We are just waiting on final reviews and blessings, basically. And then we'll be getting those out to you, but you can, our guidelines will not be changing with the governor's orders here in Texas. So please be prepared that we will still see some of those guidelines in effect. Unless, and I say this very, because I think that a lot can change between now and then, unless we see a major change, either from the governor's office or from our state agency or local guidelines change dramatically. So those will be fairly finalized unless there is, of course, a major change in guidelines. So Bryan, you're excited about coming down.
Mm-hmm.
Your Fort Clark Springs trip has got a few more participants than it did the other day. And so I keep telling everybody who has called and asked that is the goal for your Fort Clark Spring trip, is to have the biggest list, beat Romy on Sunday, and that you know all the good spots because you are a native.
That's right. I am, that's not, maybe, it's not like Baker's Crossing where it's a new piece of land and I'm excited for that reason, but it's where I grew up birding and have spent probably the most time in my life birding. So I am always excited to take new people out there and show them, the places that are special to me. It might be, maybe that's more about me, just wanting to share that. The people who I'm birding with probably couldn't care less, but I think it's exciting. And you just never know what we're going to find out there. It truly is sort of an oasis in the arid brush country. So really a lot of birds are concentrated right through that. And we have the springs out there, the headwaters of Las Moras Creek. We have some really huge ancient oak trees and pecan trees. And I mean, it really sets us up for a great amount of bird diversity. So I am really excited, especially during peak migration. So you never know.
Yes, absolutely. And then for all of you that are like history buffs, I mean, the historical aspects of Fort Clark Springs are just super cool. And so Fort Clark Springs isn't technically open to the public, right, Bryan? It is
Uh,
technically here.
I think it technically is open to the public. It's restricted access, so you kind of have to get permission to go in.
Well, yeah, you have to go, you have to stay there. They have a hotel and campsites.
I think that's probably the most kosher way to visit. I think you can still just go in to visit. I'm not sure. It kind of depends on who is on the board at Fort Clark at the time.
Well, that's true. It is. They have had several different guidelines, even in my stint here in the South Texas. So, but anyways, the cool thing about going out with Bryan is he knows all of the hidey holes.
Yes. So, like when I was down there last month, I found Phainopepla in my front yard, which was only the second one I've ever had in my yard. And I had a zone-tailed hawk fly over my yard, which was the first time I'd seen it in my yard. And earlier this winter, earlier this winter, we had at least 2 Audubon's Orioles, which were the first record for the county. And they were initially just down the street, and then I saw them in my yard where I grew up. So that was just incredible. That's one of my favorite birds. So we'll be looking for some of those things, see if they're still hanging out in April, and yeah, just hope for the best. There's lots of places to check out. So
I'm excited. Well, I am excited. It is getting close to our birding the border. I feel like it's not really, it's almost 2 months away. No, it's a little over 1 month away. Huh. Yeah. Sorry. Got my months all crossed up. So a little over 1 month away, coming up really quickly. So we're excited to see everyone who's registered come. If you haven't registered, get on and register. There are a few trips left. Bryan's Fort Clark Springs, Romy's Fort Clark Springs. We have 2 days at the Devil's River that are not full. Friday and Saturday. Tula Rosa Road is not full on Saturday. Sunday, behind the scenes at the Duck Pond, Fort Clark Springs, and McKenna Ranch are not full on Sunday. So there's a handful of trips that aren't full. Get registered. We'd love to have y'all and welcome y'all to the Birding with Extension family. We're going to have a great time and have a lot of fun doing so. Anyways, final thoughts, Bryan? I don't want to sound like Tommy Lahren, but final thoughts?
Final thoughts. I think that everyone should be out birding right now. This is the time of year to witness, one of the most impressive things that happens in the natural world, which is bird migration. So to watch it happening, if you go out and start watching right now, you're already a little bit missing some of the early guys, but really just be out birding and just witness those changes, and it can be really profound. So I know I'll be doing it, and I hope you are too.
I think the interesting piece will be a little bit to look at how long birds stay through migration, especially right here, right after our freeze, as that hurt some of our plants budding out and putting out their fruit. So it'll be a little bit interesting on that front of if we have the feed sources, the natural feed sources, to keep them hanging around a little bit longer. So if you are supplemental feeding your birds and you're getting ready for supplemental feeding, we did a series last spring that was called Fun with Feeders. And those videos are saved on our Facebook page. So you are more than welcome to go check those out. We talk about the different types of feeders, as well as kind of the maintenance of feeders, cleaning of feeders, and the types of seeds to put in. So always, and there's some great resources online about what feeds will get you what birds. You can really go to town supplemental feeding if that's something you choose to do. So anyways, have a wonderful Wednesday. Bryan, thanks for coming on and just chatting, guys. It has been so fun. Beth looked at the Beth commented and she looked at our countdown on the website. It is 50 days, 14 hours, and 40 minutes till Burning the Border starts.
All
So
right.
Beth, that does give me a slight heart attack. We're getting, y'all are coming. And so we're so excited for that. But with that, I think I'll spend the rest of my day getting ready for 50 days, 14 hours, and 40 minutes to make sure that everything is perfect when y'all get here. We're so excited. We're about to hopefully release the t-shirt design for Burning the Border later this week. So super excited about that. Anyways, everybody have a wonderful Wednesday, and we will talk to y'all next Wednesday. Bye, guys.
Bye.